I came across this interesting video on TikTok, and the question was, real is anything that doesn't take thought to sustain. And what's so interesting about this is that ultimately it's so individually defined by what your beliefs are and your identity. And thought is an interesting perspective to have of it. And there's so many notes to hit with this when you're coming from a spiritual perspective of all that is, you being and all that is being, an energetic being. And I just want to start off with what's interesting is your thoughts and how you're interpreting your reality and how you are running your system and receiving and attracting and negating everything that is in your field, in your Taurus field, based off of how coherent you are with your brain and what brainwaves you are at. Already off rip, and how you're embodying what it means to be you. And realness, real is anything that doesn't take thought to sustain, is totally biased on your identity and belief system. So I could believe something is real and you could not believe it to be real. Anything I could say in this video, you could either believe in or not believe in. It's ultimately your choice. That doesn't mean that defies all that is in the universe. That is not how that works. The universe will unconditionally support you in your belief system and identities, but that doesn't mean that it's not real. And another thing that this video brought up was, if the physical mind and the human mind did not exist, would it still exist? Of course it would. Because if it didn't exist, it wouldn't exist at all. And if it does exist, it will exist with or without your awareness, your perception of that awareness. And I'll bring to a point is we understand things that exist. You understand things exist. You have a knowing that things exist. And I'll come back to that. And then you have an understanding that you know things that you don't know, but they exist. So that's another perspective. And then you have no knowing of things that exist that are beyond your perception of understanding and knowing. And that's a whole different ballgame. That's like just beyond your whatever. It could be physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. It could be talking about dimensions. You could be talking about whatever. Beyond, you could simply be talking about colors we can't see. That's beyond our understanding or even possibly perceiving or being aware of that in this physical expression of our reality. So, a lot of notes here. So, things would still exist even if the human mind did not, if were to just simply vanish. And it would only vanish from your perspective if you believed it. Because it's not that humans wouldn't cease to exist as well either. They would still continue to exist. And you could be just talking about one specific parallel reality when there's infinite parallel realities because you're an infinite interdimensional being. So, anyway, there's so many notes to hit with this. And I keep saying that. So back to the original statement. Real is anything that doesn't take thought to sustain. And what's so interesting and that correlates with the Earth experience and how contrasting it is with darkness and light, and how you're choosing your authentic self or not choosing your authentic self. How you're being authentically you or going outside of yourself for external validation. And we all do these things. We've all been conditioned to them, whether it's religion, needing a college degree, going and having a specific job, doing what your parents want you to do rather than what actually is authentically your passion, your love, and your light, to authentically express yourself or just be happy and in your truth. Now, in a deeper knowing of what real is without thought needing to sustain it is your authenticity and truth. But you can also believe, and this is what negative beliefs are, and the whole point of contrast, to remember yourself as the human in the human experience on earth, is that you buy into these conditionings and negative beliefs and you believe them to be true, and you perpetuate this identity. And your mind will do this. Your belief systems and identity will do this. And that's what the contrast is. That's where you try and find comfort when discomfort arises. This is why people don't change, and this is why they're miserable when they are older in life, is that they ultimately are still perpetuating and looping a system that is not authentically them, that is not real, that does take thought to sustain it. Whereas when you know something to be true in your truth, to go back to, I was going to come back to this, when you know something is truly you, it does not take thought to sustain. It is authentically, energetically you at your core in your being. You've crystallized it because you know it's your truth. It is from your higher self. It is from whatever your perspective may be. And not only that, you have a deeper knowing that there is more of you than you have embodied in your truth, in your authenticity. At least I believe that. And I know that. That's one of the things that motivates me quite heavily to keep on going on my healing journey, my spiritual working through identities and this contrast, is this deeper knowing of self, and that the emotions that rise up because of the looping and perpetuating of identities is what's motivating me to reach this place that I don't know what it is. It's ultimately a fool's journey. And there's not many people who are authentically embodying and creating what it means to be you in your truth, and not seeking out external validation. So take whatever resonates. I thought the video that I saw was really cool. I thought it was awesome. I wasn't expecting it to go down this route. And one thing I'll add, he brought up another point. If you didn't believe things were real, and he brought up like love and fear, and that just because it's a dream doesn't mean it's real. Physical reality is a reflection of your inner being, of those identity and belief systems, as well as who you authentically are in your truth. So from your perspective and your capacity of what it means to be you and self, the POV you're taking on of the awareness of what it means to be you in your physical reality and experience, of what you can hold you as, believes it's real, or it wouldn't exist. Not that it wouldn't exist, it would still exist. It would be a different perspective of realness, because it's still real. Because you wouldn't be having a physical reality experience if you didn't believe it'd be real. Because then it would take on a different expression. What do I have here? It'd take on a different physical expression, a different energetic expression, or a different way of being and existing. But it'd still be real. And dreams is like a whole different... Dreams are 100% real. Dreams is you actually stepping into more of your realness, waking up in your dreams, because physical reality is a dream. And when you dream, you're waking up in the spirit. Well, it's a lot of talking. But I had fun with this video. This is fun. And there's a lot of stuff here, and I'm kind of like speed running it a little bit. It's a lot of if you know, you know, that I'm like, if you know ball. So take what resonates, and yeah, I kind of want to talking for 10 minutes. All right. The one thing I do want to note is that I want to kind of expand on just because, and this is what it means to change, is that to transform the spirit, a spiritual journey is realizing something you believed in no longer is real to you because the version of you that believed that was real is ultimately a negative belief in an identity of a hurt version of you from your childhood self. And you no longer buy into that realness and you see a deeper and more authentic truth. You understand it and then it becomes a knowing. So I'm bringing it back to the healing journey. But if you were to not even have that perspective, even if you didn't believe something was real, it was still real for you when you believed it was real. And then now you have a new real belief of what you believe wasn't real is now real, of a different perspective. You created a new awareness and understanding of whatever it is. The version of you that was in love realized it wasn't the most authentic and truth of love. So you no longer believe in that love. But that doesn't mean you don't believe in love. It just means you have a higher understanding of what love means to you. And you can take out love and put in fear. I was buying into this fearful version of me, but it's no longer my truth. There is a deeper fear to this. There's a deeper wound to this that I need to understand. Doesn't mean it's not real. It doesn't mean the past version of you didn't believe it was real either. You have a deeper understanding and awareness to that fear, love, dream, physical reality experience of what it means to be you. Because it's all a reflection of you. So, and to expand on that, if you're talking about the human mind and the human expression experience, you just take on a different, and this is what it means to be non-physical. Or even if you were to be physical, you just be a different species of physicality, of expression of existence as a being. And then if it wasn't that, you'd be energetic. You'd be an energetic being of a higher dimension. Or not even, you could be just 4D, but it could be 5D. And then you go up higher. But what you used to believe in doesn't mean it wasn't real, is the point. Anyway. And it gives, and I guess like the response would be, but that takes thought to sustain it. Thought is ultimately just a frequency of energy, as is physicality. It's a layering of energy, and you are perceiving that. Just because thought is involved doesn't mean it's not real. You're just adding a perspective of thought to the realness. And you could take out thought and put anything else in it as well. Patterns, energy, colors, sound, matter. Ultimately, you go to particles, and it's like frequency and energy, vibration. And that's where I kind of don't, that's where my awareness of that goes. But the realness doesn't change. It's whether you're buying into it, and if that's even authentically you. Because you could believe it'd be real, but it's not who you truly are. And then you're buying into something that you believe is real, but isn't you. And then you're denying yourself and your truth. But you're still unconditionally loved and supported in that by all that is. Because everything is all that is. So if you believe something is real, it still exists, no matter what. You're an all that is being. Anyway, I think that kind of hits the note. I'm still processing this. But it was a cool little rabbit hole that I feel like I made sense of. Let me know what you think. Because ultimately, whatever your perspective or opinion of is real. Because it's your physical reality experience. And whatever you're able to perceive and understand from this is real as well. And the fact that you're coming across this, and even if you don't understand it, doesn't mean it's not real. Because it still exists. And going back to the point of, even if you have no clue what the fuck I'm talking about, there's still things beyond our perception and awareness that we don't even know about that is still real. That doesn't take thought to sustain. Because you have no knowing of it. But it still exists. So, yeah. A lot of thinking going on here. All right.